I had way too much fun making my last build video, so I just had to make another one featuring one of my most played and personal favorite Warframe, Nezha.
I just think they're neat.
Aw man. This frame not only boasts some of the best content, this frame not only boasts some of the best general survivability and energy loop for all of the base content in Warframe. His toolkit enables stupid high levels of KPM, competitive with other builds like Thermal Sunder Goss, Thermal Sunder Rhino, and Thermal Sunder Harrow. Wait a minute.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
With how virulently DE hunts down AoE interactions in this game, I'm really surprised this ability has been able to survive for so long, especially after Helmand. It seems that any Warframe that shows a modicum of synergy with it just gets to inherit its Nuke God status. But I'm going to cover this interaction anyways, because thinking of new content to cover in this over 10-year-old game is a little difficult. But that's enough intro preamble. Let's see what we're working with here.
Behold! Whoopsie. Now behold.
The main synergy with the build revolves around the best augment to ever be printed, Divine Retribution, which allows Nezha's Divine Spears to duplicate all status procs applied to a speared enemy to every single other speared enemy. And when Divine Spears ends, this will expedite the remaining Slash, Toxin, and Heat procs. Expediting in Warframe is a mechanic where the total damage a dot would do is instead combined into a single damage instance, and for Divine Retribution's case, that damage is also increased by a multiplier depending on Nezha's strength. This mechanic is then combined with Goss's subsumed ability, Thermal Sunder, and Archon Vitality's extra effect to double proc heat, to reach extremely fast heat proc stacking, where the number of heat procs inflicted is equal to the number of enemies times 2. Basically, more enemies equals more damage. On top of that, both Divine Spears and Thermal Sunder have no line of sight check. Maybe the Divine Spears nerf was justified. Now to really min-max the expediting, I dump my duration as much as possible, because clicking 2 buttons is really hard, and I'd rather just have Divine Spears auto-end for me. To do this, I combine the negative duration of Transient Fortitude and Fleeting Expertise. The extra strength and efficiency is also nice for the build. One thing to note, with this much negative duration, if you've played Nezha before, you would have noticed casting Divine Spears has a ton of end lag, which only gets worse with the more enemies you spear. However, this end lag can be reduced with casting speed, and I found that 3 Talforge casting speed shards to allow for about 1 to 3 casts of Thermal Sunder before Divine Spears expires. The rest of the build is pretty simple. Maximize as much range as possible with Cunning Drift, Overextended, and Stretch, and for the final slots, Equilibrium pairs well with Blazing Chakram's increased orb chance for better energy sustain, and Adaption pairs well with Warding Halo's innate 90% DR for a very comfy health tank. The Aura slot and Arcanes can be really whatever you want, but I choose to run Growing Power and Molt Augment for even bigger damage, and then Arcane Blessing adds even more survivability. Now if you were to go out and try this build as it is, it'll work, but honestly, it doesn't scale that well, and it really feels kind of shitty, but that's because I haven't told you the secret to this build.
If only you could see inside my secret box, it would change your life.
Remember that annoying end lag from Divine Spears? Well, there's actually one action you can do in between that ability lag, and that's shoot a gun, which pairs perfectly with another wacky Warframe mechanic, Heat Inherit. Heat Inherit is a mechanic discovered by a longtime Warframe goofy goober, Dystopia.
Don't they know I'm busy spoiling myself?
In Warframe, when you proc the Heat status effect, that first proc's modded heat damage and modded banes will be inherited in the damage calculation of subsequent heat procs from any source, including abilities. Now, there's a number of different heat primers that you can use with this build, but for example, I like to use the Fierce Incarnon, with primed heated charge to add that massive modded heat damage to all of my thermal Sunder procs. Keep in mind, this build isn't min-max for heat inherent, so if you're looking to do even more damage, including the Bane mods and even more modded heat from Scorch or a Riven will really pump up your numbers. So now, when you cast Divine Spears, shoot the nearest enemy with your favorite heat primer, and then cast your Thermal Sunder for amazing results. And that's Thermal Sunder Nezha. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I like putting it together. And if you're itching for even more free content in between my spotty upload schedule, you should come check out my stream. I promise, even in unedited context, I can still be a little entertaining.
What just happened?
Someone hit the button. Everybody run away.
What button? Oh, I hit the button? Oh my god!
Yeah.
How did I hit? Oh! Ah!